The restaurant was quiet except for the low hum of conversations and the soft clinking of glasses. Ethan Carter sat alone at a corner table for two, staring at the single rose resting in a vase. He had come early, his suit perfectly pressed, his nerves hidden beneath a calm exterior. The reservation was for 7. By 7:30, he was still waiting. By 8, the waiter had refilled his water 3 times. By 8:15, the pity in the waiter's eyes was harder to ignore. It wasn't the first time Ethan had been stood up. After his divorce 3 years ago, he'd told himself he was done with dating. But his sister, Hannah, insisted he try again. "You've built walls too high," she'd said. "Let someone climb them." So, she set him up on a blind date, a lovely single mom, kind, funny, gentle, and for some reason, Ethan agreed. He'd convinced himself he wasn't nervous, but the truth was, he hadn't realized how lonely he'd become until that night. His heart didn't hurt anymore, but it also didn't feel much at all. He worked long hours as an architect, went home to an empty apartment, and filled his weekends with projects that never needed doing. Life had become a quiet room with no echoes. The waiter came again, hesitant. "Sir, would you like to order, or perhaps?" "Maybe just 5 more minutes," Ethan said with a polite smile, glancing once more at the door. But the door didn't open for her. Until it did. Only, it wasn't a woman who walked in. It was a little girl, maybe 6 or 7, with curly chestnut hair, pink sneakers, and a dress that looked like it had seen better days. She looked around the restaurant nervously, clutching a crumpled paper in her tiny hand. Her eyes, wide and searching, locked onto Ethan's table. She hesitated for a second, then walked right up to him. "Are you Mr. Ethan?" she asked softly. He blinked, confused. Yes. I am." Her face lit up, relieved. "My mommy's sorry she's late," the girl said, carefully setting the crumpled paper on the table. "She told me to tell you not to leave." Ethan leaned forward, his heart tightening at the sight of the little messenger. "And where's your mommy now?" "She's parking the car. We had a flat tire." The girl sighed like she'd been through an adventure. "She said to tell you she'll be here really soon." Ethan smiled despite himself. "Thank you, that's very kind of you." The girl smiled shyly. "Mommy said you'd look handsome." "And you do. Like someone on TV." He chuckled. "Well, you're very polite. What's your name?" "Lily," she said proudly. "Mommy says I talk too much." He laughed softly. "I don't think that's a bad thing." Lily sat on the empty chair opposite him, swinging her feet. "Can I wait with you until she comes?" "Mommy said not to stand alone." Ethan hesitated, then nodded. "Of course, you can." So they sat there, an unexpected pair, the lonely architect and the little girl with the curious eyes. She asked about the menu, pointed at the desserts, and told him how she and her mom used to share one piece of cake whenever they celebrated something special, like getting a job or fixing the toaster without calling Uncle Matt. Ethan found himself laughing, really laughing, for the first time in months. The air felt lighter somehow. When her mother finally rushed in 15 minutes later, her cheeks flushed from the cold, Ethan didn't know what to expect. But the moment he saw her, the world seemed to still. She wasn't glamorous or overly dressed. Her hair was messy from the wind, and her coat had tiny patches near the sleeves. But her eyes, warm, brown, and filled with apology, caught his completely. "I'm so sorry," she said, breathless. "I didn't mean to keep you waiting." "The tire." "It's okay," Ethan said softly. "Your messenger did a great job keeping me company." Lily grinned proudly. "See, Mommy? I helped." Her mother laughed, her relief visible. "Yes, you did, sweetheart. You always do." As they sat down, the conversation flowed easily, like they'd known each other before. Her name was Grace. She worked as a nurse, single mother, no time for herself. Ethan really listened, and every story she shared made her seem more real, more human, more strong. He noticed how she gently guided Lily's hand when cutting her food, how she lowered her voice when talking about tough times, how she smiled even when the topic turned painful. There was no bitterness, just quiet resilience. When the meal ended, Ethan found himself not wanting the night to end. But Grace seemed hesitant, almost guarded. "I had a wonderful time," she said softly. "But I don't usually do this. My life's complicated." "I didn't ask for simple," Ethan replied gently. "I just asked for real." Grace looked at him, eyes glassy with emotion. "It's been a long time since someone talked to me like that." Then Lily tugged her sleeve and whispered something that made her mother smile through tears. "She says she likes you," Grace said quietly. "And she doesn't usually like anyone." Ethan smiled at the little girl. "Well, I like her too." That night, when they said goodbye, something unspoken passed between them, something fragile, but full of promise. Weeks passed. Ethan and Grace began to see each other again. Sometimes for coffee after her shifts, sometimes at the park with Lily. Slowly, a routine formed, not romantic at first, just comforting. Grace's laughter became his favorite sound. Lily's drawings covered his fridge. But one evening, when Ethan went to surprise Grace at her apartment, he found her sitting on the steps, crying quietly. Lily was asleep in her arms. "What happened?" he asked, sitting beside her. She wiped her tears quickly. "They cut my hours at the hospital. I can't make rent this month. I'll find a way, I always do, but I just needed a minute." Ethan hesitated, his heart breaking. "Grace, you don't have to do it alone." "Yes, I do," she said firmly. "People always leave when things get hard. I can't let Lily see that again." He looked at her, and something inside him cracked. "Then let me stay when it's hard." Grace looked up, eyes wide. No one had ever said that to her. Not once. From that night on, Ethan didn't just see Grace, he showed up for her. He fixed her sink, picked up Lily from school when Grace had late shifts, even made pancakes on Sundays. Slowly, walls began to fall. But Grace still carried scars, ones that didn't show. Her ex-husband had left when Lily was just a baby, saying he wasn't ready for responsibility. Since then, every promise sounded like a lie waiting to happen. So when Ethan finally took her hand one evening and said, "I think I'm falling for you," she froze. "Please don't," she whispered. "I can't lose someone again." "Then don't lose me," he said. "Just let me be here." Her tears spilled silently. For the first time, she didn't run. Months later, on a rainy afternoon, Ethan found himself at that same restaurant, the place where it all began. Only this time, the table wasn't empty. Lily was coloring beside him, humming, while Grace ran late from her shift.